Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to show you how to get equations from graph using your Ti-nspire CX2 or your regular Ti-nspire. So let's go ahead and begin. Here's an example. To rent a bike, Max pays a flat rate plus an hourly rental fee. The graph shows the amount of C dollars he pays based on the number of hours T he uses the bike. What is the equation that best represents the data in the graph? So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and highlight the y-axis. And when I highlight the y-axis, we're going to look for the y-intercept. Remember that the y-intercept is the point where the black line touches the y-axis. So if I follow the black line, it touches at 5. So 5 is my y-intercept. That is my starting point. And if you notice, it's not going through the origin, therefore it's not proportional. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to look at what type of slope I have. So if I follow my line from left to right, you can see that I have a positive slope. And remember that in 8th grade, we have two types of slope. We have positive and negative. So from left to right, we have a positive slope. So if this was a multiple choice question, we would look at all the slopes and get rid of the ones that are negative. So after that, we're going to go ahead and create a table. I have X and Y, and we're going to pick two perfect points. Now remember, when I find a perfect point, it has to be right on this pink line, okay? And a perfect point touches a corner of a square, and it also touches the line. For example, this piece right here is a perfect point because it touches the corner of the square, and it's on that black line. So here's another example. It touches the corner, so therefore this is a perfect point. Here's another one. It touches the corner and it's right there, and so on and so forth. Here's another one. So as you can see, there are many points that you can pick from. I am going to pick my y-intercept. In this case, it's going to be 0 and 5. Remember that when you have a y-intercept, your x value will always be 0. And you can tell that when x is 0, y is 5. So this is not proportional, okay? Not proportional because my y-intercept is 5. In order for it to be proportional, the y has to be 0. So now I'm going to pick one of these lovely points over here. I am going to pick this one right here. So I have 4 and 15. 4 and 15. So from here, we have created a table. So we're going to go to new document, and we're going to go to list and spreadsheets. I did have a video that I just made prior to this. It is, I'll leave it in the link above if you want to see it. So let's go all the way to A, and we're going to put X, go all the way up to B, and we're going to put Y. And the reason why is because all of these numbers that we're going to place in here represent the Y value, and all of these numbers represent the X value. So for the X values, we have 0 and 4. So we're going to put equals to 0, equals to 4. Now let's go to the Y value, equals to 5, and equals to 15. So there we have it. From there, we're going to go ahead and put Control Doc. And we're going to go to number 5, Data and Statistics. To move the blue circles, Tab X, Tab Y. We're going to go to Menu, Analyze, Regression, and we're going to pick the first one, Show Linear mx+b. So here is our equation. I have 2.5 x plus 5. Notice that my y-intercept is the number without a letter. So this is my y-intercept, my plus 5. See how it matches? And my slope is the number in front of the variable, or the number in front of x. So my slope is 2.5. Now, if I want to convert this into a fraction, because again, sometimes my answer choice is in fraction, I'm going to click on Doc, go to Insert, problem, and we're going to add a calculator. So we're going to convert 2.5 into a fraction because my answer choices might have a fraction. So I'm going to type in my decimal 2.5. We're going to go to menu. We're going to go to number, and we want to approximate that number into a fraction. So we're going to click on number 2. So now we have our decimal and we have our fraction. We want to convert it. So click enter. So we know that 2.5 is equal to 5.5. So if I were to rewrite this in a fraction way, I will have y is equal to 5 over 2 x plus 5. Both of these mean the exact same thing. 2.5 is 5.5. Let's go on to the next one. So again, here we have a graph, and it's talking about the cost in dollars a traveler must pay using a turnpike on the Interstate 90 based on the number of miles driven. What is the equation that best represents this graph? So again, the first thing that we want to do is we want to highlight the y-axis because we want to find the y-intercept. And remember that the y-intercept is the point that where the line touches the y-axis. And as I follow the line, you can see that it touches at 0. So that is my y-intercept. And if it goes through the origin, then we know that this graph is proportional because my y-intercept is 0. So now let's check what type of slope my line is. Remember that the slope is positive or negative. So if I look at my line, I'm going to start from left to right. Always read a graph from left to right. You can see that it's going up towards the sky from left to right. So from left to right, we have a positive slope. So if this was multiple choice question, I will check to see which one has a y-intercept of 0, and I'm going to check which one has a slope of that's positive. So let's go ahead and make our table. We always have to make a table. Again, I'm going to find perfect points, and remember that perfect points are those that touch the corner of a square and it touches the line. So like this one is a perfect point. This one's not a perfect point because it doesn't touch the corner. This one is a perfect point because it touches the corner. This one's a perfect point because it touches the corner. And this one is a perfect point because it touches the corner. So I have different options to choose from. I am going to use my y-intercept, which is 0, 0. And as you can see, when I have 0, 0, it is proportional. That means it goes to the origin. And I am going to pick this guy right here. I'm going to choose 32. X is 32. And y is 2.4. So let's go to our calculator. I want to put doc, insert, problem. Again, a table is just a list of numbers, so I'm going to go to list in spreadsheets, label it X, go to B and label it Y, equals to 0, equals to 32, equals to 0, and equals to 2.4. Now we're going to go ahead and put control doc, data and statistics, tab X, tab Y, menu. We're going to go to analyze number 4, regression, and show linear mx plus b. So here is my equation. I have 0.075x plus 0. And remember that my y-intercept is the number with no letter. So this is my y-intercept. And my slope is the number in front of x. So this right here is my slope, 0.075. You have to know which one's your y-intercept and which one's your slope because they might ask you for the slope or the y-intercept, or they might ask you for the whole equation. Now let's go ahead and convert our slope into a fraction because again, they might ask it as a fraction instead of a decimal. So we're going to go to doc, insert problem, and we're going to add a calculator. So I have 0.075. Always type in your decimal. Go to menu, number, go to approximate to fraction, and click enter. So another way to rewrite this is going to be y equals 340, 3 over 40x plus 0. These are the two answers. And again, 3 over 40 is equal to 0.75. This is how it looks like in decimal, and this is how it looks like as a fraction. Now let's do a multiple choice question. It says, which equation best represents the graph to the left? So here's my graph. So again, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to highlight the y-axis to find the y-intercept. Good job. So the black line touches the green line right here at -1. Okay. Now let's go ahead and find what type of slope I have. Remember, we have two different types of slope. We have positive and negative, and we always read a graph from left to right. So let's go ahead and start the graph from left to right. And as I go from left to right, you can see that it's going up towards the sky. Therefore, we have a positive slope. Okay, so I have a positive slope and my y-intercept is -1. So let's go ahead and talk about the y-intercept. Let's look at all our answer choices. Our answer choices are right here. So my y-intercept is -1. This one doesn't have a letter. This one doesn't have a letter. And this one doesn't have a letter. So these are my y-intercepts. Okay. Now remember that my y-intercept is a -1. So my answer cannot be letter A. And my answer cannot be letter D because the y-intercepts are a positive one. Now let's check our slope. Our slope should be positive. So remember that the definition of slope is the number in front of x. So here on letter B, I have a positive 3/2, and on letter C, I have a negative 2/3. So based on my strategies, letter C cannot be my answer. Therefore, letter B is my answer. Okay. Now let's go ahead and show you how we got that answer if you forget how to do these strategies. So again, from here, once I find the y-intercept and I check my slope, we are going to create a table, x and y. I'm going to pick my y-intercept, and I'm going to pick another perfect point. So I have positive 2 and 2. So I'm going to use 2 and 2. So let's go to our calculator, doc, go to insert number 4, go to problem. Now let's add a list in spreadsheet because we have a table. Go all the way up to A, label it X, go to B, label it Y, and now we're going to plug in our numbers. Equals to 0, equals to 2, equals to -1, equals to 2. From there, we're going to go to Control Doc. You guessed it, Data and Statistics. Tab X, Tab Y. We're going to go to Menu, Analyze, Regression, Show Linear mx+b. So there we have. We have y equals to 1.5 x minus 1. And what's my slope? The slope is the number in front of x, so my slope is 1.5. Now, if you notice, my answer choices are in fractions, so we have to convert our decimal into a fraction. This is why it's very important to know how to do that. So doc, go to number 4, insert, go to number 1, problem, add a calculator, and we're going to have 1.5, type out your decimal, go to menu, go to number, and go to approximate to fraction. Click enter, and you can see that 1.5 is the same thing as 3/2. So 1.5 is the same thing as 3.5 x minus 1. And you can see that these two equations match. Let's do one more. Go ahead and practice this one on your own. All right, it says which equation represents the graph to the left? So the first thing that we're going to do is highlight the y-axis to find the y-intercept. And so my y-intercept is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My y-intercept is 5. So let's look at all of the answer choices. So my y-intercept is the number with no letter. So this has no letter, this one has no letter, this one has no letter, and this one has no letter. So which one of these has a plus 5? B and C. So letter A is out because I have a minus 5, and letter D is out because I have a minus 5. Now let's check the direction of our slope. Remember that we have two types of slope, positive and we have negative. So let's read a graph from left to right. And as I go from left to right, it's going up towards the sky. So I should have a positive slope. So between B and C, my slope for letter B is a negative 3/2, and my slope for C is a positive 2/3. So letter B is not my answer. Therefore, C is the correct answer. Notice how we can get our answer just by using our strategies. So now let's do it by showing our work. I have X and Y. Again, I'm going to use my y-intercept as a perfect point. And another perfect point that we can pick is right here. I have -3 and +3. -3 and +3. So let's go to our calculator. You guessed it, doc. Go to insert number 4. Go to number 1 problem. List in spreadsheets. Go all the way up to A. X, Y equals to 0 equals to -3 equals to 5 and equals to 3. Control doc. Data and statistics. Tab X. Tab Y. Menu. Analyze. Regression. And show linear mx plus b. As you can see here, we have y equals to 0 point, and we have so many sixes. So 6, 6, 6. I'm going to put a line there because that means it repeats. 7x plus 5. Now you notice that my answer is in a fraction, so I'm going to convert this decimal into a fraction. So doc, click on number 4, insert, click on number 1, problem, add a calculator, and I have 0 point. And remember, there was a lot of sixes, so I'm just going to put a lot of sixes, and I'm going to put a 7. I'm going to go to menu, number, approximate to fraction, and click enter. And you can see here that I can rewrite this as 2/3 x plus 5. So my slope is 2/3. And that's exactly what we got here. Well, that is it for today. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.